Jerry and Charlie riding through the airwaves, bringing you the heat. Come on, pull your Mets fans, now get up out your seat. They're bringing you all things Mets, they're bringing you all things Mets. They're bringing you all things Mets, now you're listening to Shea Station.
Today is Friday, October 18th. We are back on the Shea Station podcast. The Mets are down 3-1 in the National League Championship Series. I am one of your co-hosts, Jack, a.k.a. Jolly. No one joining me today. Jerry is unfortunately away for a wedding this weekend, so I'll be flying solo at one of our lowest points this year. But I felt the need to hop on the mic and do a podcast because I don't want to hide when things get bad, folks. And I'm not going to lie. Things are pretty bad right now. The Mets evened up the NLCS on the road in LA with a pretty impressive 7-3 win in Game 2. The bullpen shined. Edwin Diaz struck out 3 in a row to end the game. Mark Vientos came up with the big hit. And the Mets regained home field advantage in the NLCS. 3 games at home, 2 on the road, in a best-of-5 set was what happened after they won Game 2. That was the result. They come back home with their pitching set up, and they get outscored 18-2 in 2 losses. So, not exactly according to plan. And it's a shame because the Mets hadn't lost a home playoff game yet. Yesterday was the first time that they lost multiple games in a row in the playoffs. And I was there last night, Game 4. A game that was once in reach and quickly fell out of reach. Jose Quintana bleeds. He's not perfect, unfortunately. No fault of the crowd. I mean, early on, it was loud in there, as loud as it was at the NLCS game that I went to. Shohei Ohtani tried to rip the rug out underneath the fans early on with a leadoff homer. Mark Vientos answers back with a homer of his own. It felt like we were going to get a barn burner of a game, kind of the close game that I think everyone has been waiting for, not just Mets and Dodgers fans, because the series has just been kind of just trading blowouts a little bit. I mean, obviously our win isn't a blowout, but it's a 4-run margin. Last night's game was tough. It looked like they had a pretty good read on Yamamoto. They were getting base runners on pretty often. These Mets cannot get the big hit. And that worries me because that is what befell the San Diego Padres in the final 2 games of their NLDS matchup with the Dodgers. The fact that they could get dudes on, although I guess in the last game they really didn't, but they could get guys on and they just could not find the big hit. And this has been happening to the Mets. Game 3, I believe they had the bases loaded twice, if not 3 times in that game. And that was a game where they got shut out. And I mean, this is going to be a Game 3 and Game 4 hodgepodge of emotions and recaps for me. But the downward trend of this series really began in the bottom of the second of Game 3. Buehler gets Marte out to begin the inning, then walks, infield single, and another walk loads the bases for both Franciscos in a 2-0 game. And it feels like the Mets can storm back, reinvigorate the crowd and get them involved and take a lead and potentially knock out Walker Buehler early. And instead, it's strikeout on 12 pitches. Severino battles for his part. It was a solid start for him, especially his final line is pretty good because none of the runs were earned. There was that just dink and dunk madness when the Dodgers put up 2 runs on just a bunch of infield grounders and a sac fly. And then they really started to tee off against the bullpen. I don't know, man. Hats off to Dave Roberts. I think that protecting the bullpen might have been a questionable move. I think it might have cost them Game 2. But you're seeing it pay dividends here because they pitched a shutout in Game 1 with about 4 innings from Walker Buehler, so 5 innings out of the bullpen there. Then they got 4 1/3 out of Yamamoto last night, and the bullpen gave them 4 2/3 innings scoreless. So this bullpen's been ironclad. We finally saw the likes of Evan Phillips last night, who got 4 outs, even though he did look, partially hittable. Looked like the Mets were seeing something there. Last night was tough, though, man. It felt like the Mets could threaten, and then the Dodgers would threaten right back, but they'd actually get the big hit. The Mets were honestly lucky to come away with a run in their bases loaded opportunity in the third last night. Nimmo hauling ass down the line on a plantar fasciitis foot for his fastest sprint speed of the year to beat out the double play and score a run to make it 3-2. But that was as close as this game ever got. Mookie Betts has his signature game of the playoffs with a 4-hit effort, 4 RBIs. Ohtani scores 4 runs because the Mets walked him 3 times and he hit the home run. This Dodgers box score is just nasty, man. I mean, the contributors up and down their lineup, and you're just not really seeing the same thing with the Mets lineup right now. And the Mets lineup has been a point of discussion. I guess I took some issue the past 2 games with not playing Jesse Winker. That felt like a miss. Second highest OPS on the team in the playoffs behind Mark Vientos. But at the same time, this Mets offense all year long, their signature trait has been everybody contributes. Everybody gets a piece. Everyone does their part. Keep the line moving, all that good stuff. And we just haven't seen it this series. The bottom of the order has not been able to produce at any consistent level, even with cycling guys in like Bader and McNeil and JD Martinez getting a couple starts. Nothing clicking down there. And now our backs are against the wall. I apologize for not bringing you a more energetic, cheery tone, but there is a chance the season ends tonight. And that's pretty shocking because I think myself and many other Mets fans felt the magic and the lightning in the bottle effect of this team, and it really felt like they were a lock to at least get to the World Series, and now they're going to have to win 3 in a row. 2 of them on the Dodgers turf if they even want to get past this NLCS. There is a path to doing it. It starts with David Peterson tonight, who is getting the start in Game 5 over Kodai Senga. The pitching plan tonight's going to be interesting. It's going to be some combination of Peterson, Senga, Stanek, and Diaz. Stanek and Diaz haven't pitched since Game 2. Maton went last night. I have to imagine he's probably out today. Maybe Reed Garrett figures in because he's been pretty effective. But this is going to be a pretty tight window for the Mets to hopefully grab a lead and keep the Dodgers at bay in this game. I mean, the Dodgers offense has just been unbelievable. A 9-run game, an 8-run game, and now a 10-run game for them. It is a lineup full of just contributors, man. Even the most unlikely guys like Kike Hernandez or Chris Taylor getting a knock and a run last night. They just don't stop. Tommy Edman. Oh, I'm so sick of Tommy Edman. I know I say it all the time. He would be my favorite player if he was on this team, but he's not, and I hate him. He's just always putting the ball in play. It feels like you get 2 strikes on him every time. You can just never get him out. He was hitting 4th last night. Point of all this is a quote from Francisco Lindor after yesterday's game that basically was to the effect of, we're not out of it. Don't stop believing. Can't stop believing now after we've gotten to this point. And I am with him, and I do believe in these guys. 3-1 deficit or not, because it obviously does not feel good. The last team to overcome a 3-1 series deficit were these Dodgers in the 2020 NLCS against the Braves. It is doable, but it's not going to be easy. Here's what I'll say. These Mets have punched back all year long. They've made miraculous comebacks, especially as of late, on many, many occasions. I'm willing to believe that they have 3 wins in a row in them. It's just this Dodgers team looks incredibly dominant. But things have to change if that's going to happen. The first thing is runners in scoring position. Like, the Mets have to find a way to channel what they had going for the past 3 weeks. Last night they went 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position. They had 10 opportunities to get runs on the board and make this game interesting. They couldn't come through in any of them. Game 3, they get shut out. 8-0, 0 for 4, runners in scoring position. Game 2, a game that they won, 4 for 12. That's about the only good game that they've had. And then game 1, shut out again, 0 for 3. So in games 1, 3, and 4, this team has gone 0 for 17 with runners in scoring position. And I think that makes this watch all the more agonizing because they're threatening so often. Like, the formula is still there. Your table setters are still setting the table. It's just you can't bat Mark Vientos 4 times. You can't bat Francisco Lindor 3 times. Like, everyone has to do their part. So I don't know. The pitching, I think, has gotten exposed a little bit in this series. I think they had a really good run, but it was always clear that this pitching was something of an issue for this team. Like, it was never a super strong point. Jose Quintana pitching 11 innings with no earned runs. That was bound to end eventually. Peterson finally gets hit for the first time in relief. Senga, obviously, with the terrible outing. And then Severino just a couple ground balls away from being much better. They're going to need some performances over these next 3 games. This Dodgers team is not unbeatable. They obviously have the star power to end all star power, the top 3 to end all top 3s, and their pitching, which we thought was going to be their kryptonite, specifically starting pitching, has come through for them. We know about their bullpen. This is a bit of a rambly pod, a bit of a scattered brain pod, because no outline or anything for me. I'm just kind of firing from the hip and spitballing here. But I don't think these guys are ready to go yet. I don't think they're ready to call it. I think they've got more fight in them. I think they got more good baseball in them left. And this is why I'm glad to not be the manager of the New York Mets, because what buttons do you push tonight to make everything work again? Is it as simple as a lineup shift? Is it as simple as a tight hook on your pitching? I don't know. What I do know is that if this team continues to struggle when there's a man on second, or if they continue to struggle when they've got 2 strikes on a good hitter and can't put him away, the series has been over. So it takes a lot to get this far in a playoff run, is what I've learned. And I think that, if it does get to the point where the Mets are eliminated, we're going to have to eulogize the season, if you will. There will be a lot of talk of this team is trending in the right direction. This was a huge step, a huge piece of forward momentum for this franchise, and all of those things are true. I don't want to be facing the they'll be back talk yet, because what I've learned from this playoff run between Pete's miracle in Milwaukee and them, beating the Phillies at their own game and even taking one on the road in LA is that it's incredibly hard to get this far in a playoff run. Like, so many things have to go right. So many people have to stay healthy. So many people have to perform above their pay grade for you to even have a shot. The Dodgers know that. They've been the 1 seed, I feel like, every year, and this is the first time in a while they're actually making a run. And I do believe in this franchise. I believe in this roster. But the thing that bothers me is that I believe in them right now. Like, I don't think they're ahead of schedule. I think this team is really good. And I don't want them to go out with a whimper. We all know this. They're down 3-1. There's a likelihood the season ends tonight. I think some people are even chalking it up to a guarantee already. And if that is the case, if we do lose tonight on our home turf, go down with a fight, man. Put up some runs. Like, let's get some big hits. Let's get the crowd involved. If this is going to be the last game at Citi Field this year, in a year that's been so magical, a year so magical yet that if they lose tonight, it'll just be a number on the wild card banner, which is so disheartening. But if you go out tonight, go out with some fireworks. Get this crowd excited. Get one more big hit, get one more big strikeout. Mess around, win a game. Make sure they celebrate on their turf. Make sure we celebrate on their turf. Get this series back to LA. That's my one ask. Let's get one win on our home turf. Don't get swept at home again by the Dodgers. For me, the beginning of the 2024 season is getting swept by the Dodgers. Falling to 22-33, watching Jorge Lopez fling his glove into the stands, call himself the worst teammate in MLB, team meeting. That is the beginning of the 2024 season. You can skip pretty much everything else before that. Don't end the season the same way. Don't end the season by getting swept at home by the Dodgers. Put up a fight. Show the Dodgers what you're made of, because you've shown a couple teams You showed them for a brief moment. Tonight truly showed them the pass the baton offense, the clutch and timely pitching that this team has been defined by over the past few weeks. Show them that Mets team, not this one that has just been rolling over and dying in front of them through, a lack of talent in comparison. Because this team is talented. They might be young. They might be underseasoned in playoff experience. They might not have Ohtani and Betts and all those guys. But this is still a good team. Let's act like it tonight. Let's get a win. If the Dodgers want to celebrate, make them do it on their turf, not on our turf. No one celebrated besides the Mets at Citi Field this year. I'd like to keep it that way to the bitter end. So tonight, David Peterson goes against Jack Flaherty. Tall task for these Mets if they're going to be able to do it. Flaherty has an ERA below 3 in the playoffs. He obviously was amazing in Game 1. Shut the Mets out for 7 innings to enable a 9-0 Dodgers win. Peterson takes the bump on the other side. He's been great in the playoffs. This will be his first start. His first start since he saved the season in Milwaukee before the wild card series. So it's been a while. And, hey, no pressure, kid. Game 5 of the NLCS, season on the line. Hey, we need you. But I expect a good outing out of Peterson tonight just because that's what he's shown us all year. He's put together a career. I believe in him to be great tonight. As for the lineup, you hope Jesse Winker is in there. You hope Brandon Nimmo is still okay to play because I feel like every time I look at him, he's hobbling, although he has been playing great. And for Alonso and Lindor, they both had signature moments this postseason between Pete's homer in Milwaukee, Lindor's grand slam against the Phillies. We need you tonight, guys. Mark's been doing his part. Winker's been doing his part. Even the middle of the order has been, setting the table. We need you to go. It's now or never. And I believe in these guys. Don't let this be Pete's last game as a Met. There's a whole offseason to talk about that, but that is the thought I had last night as he took a 9th inning at bat and singled in a 10-2 game. I hope this is not the last time I watched Pete take an at bat in a Mets uniform at Citi Field. And it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. You can still win this series. It's been done as recently as 4 years ago, this 3-1 comeback. I know my tone may not sound like I believe in that right now, but I do. It's hard to spin because I'm so closely removed from watching them get blasted in Game 4. Do they have one more comeback in them? It's a big one. It's a huge, serious comeback. We'll find out. There will be a stream tonight on Shea Station, myself and Lorenzo in the gaming room, hanging out. We haven't lost a game yet when watching the game in there. I believe we're 3-0. So join up, support the channel, hit subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Leave us a review if you're listening on a podcast app. We really appreciate you guys. You guys have made this season so magical. And hopefully the next time we hit you with a podcast where it's both me and Jerry, it is not to talk about the end of the season. It's to talk about a miraculous NLCS comeback by your New York Mets. But until then, that'll wrap up this pretty brief podcast. Not too much to say. Mets got blown out a couple games in a row. Didn't look good. Hopefully they can look good for the next 3 days or 4 days. Thank you so much once again, and we'll see you guys next time. Let's go Mets.
Shea Station, Jerry and Charlie. Shea Station, Jerry and Charlie. Thank you all for coming. Hope you enjoyed the show. We will see you next time where we'll be back.
Shea Station.